I finally moved out of my parents' house to chase my dream, and I left my entire desktop setup behind. The only thing I brought through the airport was a 13-inch MacBook Air to do basically everything. Editing, script writing, recording voiceovers, and running this tech channel you're watching right now. And honestly, at first I thought it was a terrible idea. I mean, it was basically downgrading from a powerful desktop with a real CPU, GPU, and 64 gigs of RAM to a tiny laptop with an M4 chip and 16 gigs, all for portability. It sounded ridiculous, but it's been 2 months since I moved out and I don't regret it at all. And this video isn't about my experience with the MacBook Air because that alone would be boring. I also want to tell you the story behind all of this, why I moved out, what happens next, and what it's actually like to run a 75k subscriber YouTube channel using only a MacBook. Let's get into it. Alright, my dream is actually simple. Move away from my parents, away from everyone I know, and build my own filming studio in a city where I know absolutely nobody. Let me explain. Since I was 13, I wanted to become a YouTuber, and not only a YouTuber, but a tech YouTuber. I obsessed with computers, kept starting channels, and spent years trying to make it work, but none of them really took off. For a long time, it felt like I was always one step behind people who were blowing up on YouTube, and I could have already given up. But looking back, I realized that what kept me going wasn't motivation or discipline. It was an obsession with YouTube. I just couldn't let it go. Eventually, I realized I didn't want to be a traditional tech reviewer trying to sound like an MKBHD or Linus Tech Tips. I was better at something simpler, telling honest stories through the tech I actually use. That's what made this channel finally work, by the way. I'm not saying I'm better than them, I just have a different angle that I like more. And in fact, I like the idea of grinding alone, knowing that I'm free to go anywhere, which is why YouTube is the best career for that. But I couldn't allow myself to do so for the past 8 years because I was working in an ordinary 9-to-5 job or constantly studying at university, where there is no free will to travel or even provide for yourself enough to live in an apartment, not to mention buying one. I mean, who the hell believes the words, "I'm gonna be a YouTuber and I don't need these studies"? Even MrBeast couldn't convince his parents. And that's why, even though my parents weren't exactly toxic, they could unconsciously control my decisions. And I couldn't expand beyond my parents' house. I didn't have my own space, I couldn't customize my space, create a studio where I could put my lights, my cameras, my tripods, and talk about products in silence. To film a video, I was always asking them to be a little quiet and close the door, and then I would start recording. And I'm not lying, they did help me with that. But even then, they are human beings, so noise and constant interferences during the grind were inevitable. And that was a little depressing to realize because it limited me entirely. I feel like a bird with tangled wings. But once my current channel started blowing up and attracting sponsors, earning decent amount of money from monetization, and people became more active on my channel last year, I finally had the financial ability to move out to a completely new city where I could live alone and maybe build the home studio I dreamed about since childhood. A place where I could review tech or tech these kind of stories without problems. Or maybe finally think about ideas I had back in my parents' house. So after the last 6 months of thinking, I made the decision. I decided to move out to a completely new city alone to chase my dreams. But of course that sounded good at the beginning, until the day of moving out came. Because I had 2 main problems there, logistics and my fear. When it comes to logistics, that was obvious. In my parents' house I had 2 PCs, my table, my monitor, my devices. Basically my entire setup was tied to that place. And the city I was moving to was more than 1,000 kilometers away. I didn't know anyone there, literally not a single soul. So the next problem kicked in, and that was the emotional side. Before moving out, I clearly knew I was stepping out of my comfort zone into a new phase of life where I had to build something bigger. And that's always hard. I knew even after moving out, I would question this decision many times. Why did I do that? Why didn't I stay in my parents' house and save up money for an apartment instead of paying rent? But luckily, those 2 problems got solved, though in an unusual way. The logistics problems was solved by grabbing the MacBook Air that I bought 6 months before this decision, and this was hard to do because even though I had it for 6 months, I wouldn't say I used it that frequently because I simply had no purpose for it. Every task I did was on my PC, which was easier because everything was already where I was used to. I mean, in theory, the MacBook could do everything, but in reality, I couldn't believe it until I tried. Luckily, I always used an external SSD for my media files while editing on my PC, and that tiny detail helped me switch to only the Mac. And my fears were solved another way. Actually, I didn't solve them, time did. Because the mistake I was making was thinking people move out because of work or university or something meaningful, but why me? My YouTube channel didn't depend on one place. I could have worked from my parents' house and listened to my parents who claimed I shouldn't waste my money on rent. But the problem was, I was looking at it too traditionally. Because honestly, the fact that my YouTube channel can be managed from anywhere makes me free to do everything, which is actually even better. And I realized nothing in this universe is meaningful until you make it meaningful. People climb Everest or run impossible distances. Those things are optional, but no one questions them. They created purpose for what they do. So I thought, why not me? I wanted to build something meaningful, a tech guy people could trust, that became the purpose I created for myself. So I packed my things into a suitcase, grabbed my MacBook Air M4, my microphone for recording voiceovers, my mouse for editing, and the SSD with all my videos. That's it. And I also wanted to challenge myself, is it possible to create entire video from zero using only a MacBook Air with 16GB of RAM and M4 chip without touching my PC after being a full-time Windows user? I wanted to force myself to use macOS and see the difference and why people praise it so much. And on top of that, I wanted to see whether the system could survive not just basic tasks, but professional editing and recording my voice. And here are the insights I realized. Alright, as soon as I started renting an apartment and working solely on my Mac, I realized how underrated the MacBook is. This laptop is so much better than any laptop out there for work. And here's what I think is best about the MacBook. First of all, it's the operating system, macOS, which is designed for work and multitasking. One example is opening different desktops to work with. That's such a blessing because if you have a Mac, you don't need multiple monitors to work. You can literally open as many desktops as you need and work with them easily. But on Windows, for example, that's not as convenient. So to work across different apps, you have to use the taskbar or click Shift Tab, which frankly is not convenient. Whereas on a MacBook, you just open two desktops. On one desktop, you use your browser for gathering footage or files, and in another, you put your editing program, and boom, you can switch between desktops easily. And the next thing is the quality of the display. It has a great IPS display with a glossy coating, and on top of that, it has 221 ppi, which makes everything so clear and sharp. For reference, an ordinary gaming monitor has between 100 and 140 ppi. Literally, when I write a script, I would rather use my Mac than my PC's monitor, because it makes me write faster or something. I feel like I write better on it. And to be honest, during the time when I only had a MacBook, I got used to the display so much that I didn't want to come back to an ordinary gaming monitors. Because text looked a little less clean and matte coding just looked bad. I mean, of course it has anti-glare and all that, but once you realize what you sacrifice for that anti-glare, you want to switch to glossy display as soon as possible. But the big problem with the glossy coating is that you need more brightness to compensate for not having anti-glare. And 500 nits maximum on my MacBook Air is terribly low for working outdoors. Sometimes I like going to unusual places to work, like coffee shop patios, and in those situations, 500 nits makes the experience worse than ever. You can barely see anything. And the next thing I like most is the integration of Adobe apps. Suddenly, they're not as buggy anymore on macOS. I mean, they still lag in middle of work sometimes, but it's much less frequent. And I don't think that's a RAM problem because my Windows PC has around 64GB of RAM and Adobe Premiere Pro still used to crash in the middle of work. But on my Mac, it happens pretty rarely. And I think that's also because of the unified memory thing, where components like RAM, GPU, and CPU are integrated into one M4 chip. And the next thing I like about the MacBook Air is that it doesn't give you the vibe of a laptop. I mean, when you have a regular laptop, you usually need a backpack, a charger, a mouse pad, and the big laptop itself, which ends up really heavy. That's the concept I still have in mind about having any laptop, so I'm not mocking gaming laptop users or anything. I used to be one of them, so don't get me wrong. But it's true that without those things, heavy gaming laptops are not great for work, not to mention gaming. And when it comes to the MacBook Air, specifically the MacBook Air or Neo, you don't feel the urge to take your charger or mouse all the time. I'm not counting the 16-inch MacBook Pro here. It's almost like a phone or a digital notebook that you can open in middle of the road and write what you have in mind. You can hold it with one hand and still get a powerful system. You get what I mean. I think that's what laptops should be. And as I said, I like working in unusual places, for example when I write a script. And for that, I don't take a big charger. Just a small Type-C phone charger is enough. And on top of that, the battery life is crazy. But what I realized is that it's not 18 hours, as Apple's marketing team likes to say. In my personal experience, I tried to measure it, and I couldn't get those 18 hours. It lasted around 10 hours at most. And my background processors weren't that many, except for 5-6 Chrome tabs and using an external SSD. Maybe I should have used Safari instead. But to be clear, I don't like Safari. So yeah, I don't know how they got those 18 hours, but still the battery life is better than most other laptops out there. But definitely not 18 hours though. But what's really good is that if you have devices from the Apple ecosystem, such as an iPhone and AirPods, they work really fast together. In my experience, I use my iPhone for filming videos since I don't have a camera yet. After filming B-roll, I don't need to wait to transfer transfer the videos to my Mac. AirDrop makes it really fast. Or the MacBook has the Photos app where everything you shot on your iPhone appears if you have an iCloud subscription. Or maybe you don't even need that. And in another case, if you have AirPods, you just take them out of the case, put them in your ear, and you immediately start hearing the sound from your MacBook. In short, these are really cool features. And let's talk about the things people underestimate most of the time about MacBooks. Their chips. Most people say, oh, you can't even launch Minecraft on it. What's the point? Or if you open editing programs, it explodes. But the fact is, these M4 and M5 chips are actually underrated. Yes, they are not as powerful in terms of GPU, but if you talk about FPS, those comparisons are often unfair. Because people like to compare Asus or Lenovo laptops in games with MacBook Pro or Air models at full HD resolution. While most MacBooks, even the MacBook Neo, have 2K displays, which matters for high pixel density for work, but also heavy for GPU, so benchmark is mostly unfair. I think it's better to test them in 3D programs, editing software, or things that are less visible, like system optimization. And in that area, MacBook wins. But at the same time, I'm not blindly defending MacBooks either. I've seen people compare a brand new MacBook Pro to some old $500 laptop and call it a fair comparison, which is just as dumb. So I'm not on either side. I just try to say what's actually good and what's not. And speaking of that, let's finally talk about the things I don't like and still hate about MacBook Air. And the first thing that stood out about my MacBook Air is that Apple somehow likes to be different from others. Sometimes that's good, but most of the time it's annoying. For example, if we look at the keyboard layout, we have buttons like Control, Option, and Command instead of the traditional Alt, Control, and the Windows key, or what some people call the Super key, but you get the idea. Personally, I would prefer the usual Control and Alt instead of Command and Option, because we're simply used to that. And instead of the Windows key, they could have just put their logo or a macOS logo and it would be fine. There are many people who want to use both Windows and macOS, and switching between them becomes really hard when the keys you are used to are in different places. And the next thing I didn't like is that I had to buy a subscription for Adobe. I mean, that's not a big deal, you might say, but considering the price of Adobe programs, I would rather use alternative methods, if you know what I mean. But unfortunately, that's harder on a MacBook since it's closed system. And another thing I didn't like is that editing on MacBook Air is specifically not convenient. I don't care what people say, but the MacBook Air is not really good for editing in Adobe. First of all, the screen is too small, so everything barely fits, and you have to constantly strain your eyes to see things. So for editing, it's better to buy a MacBook Pro with a bigger screen or just use an external monitor, which works really well with macOS, by the way. And by the way, I also want to mention the trackpad. It is convenient, don't get me wrong. It is great for most tasks, but not for editing. I tried editing using the only trackpad, and even though it has haptic feedback, it doesn't make it comfortable. For editing, you still need the precision and the scroll wheel of a mouse, so if you don't have a mouse and you're not in a hurry, the trackpad can be a good replacement. But for editing specifically, it's not ideal. And to be clear, another problem I had was with macOS itself, not the MacBook. It has poor integration with some apps I use like Discord. Sometimes it loads forever, sometimes it freezes, sometimes the microphone doesn't respond. And I'm sure Discord is not the only app like that on macOS. That's really annoying because I use Discord a lot to communicate with people on my server. By the way, the link is in the description if you're interested in tech. And those were the things I personally didn't like. Now let's make a conclusion of everything I said. Alright, I think this video, even though it wasn't perfect, was still in my style. And I know you like when I tell stories because the most popular video on my channel proves it. I make these kind of videos pretty rarely because life is mostly routine and boring, so interesting stories happen very rarely, or they have nothing to do with tech, and I don't want to make videos on unrelated topics. Honestly, this move taught me that, as a creator, your environment and your tools should serve your freedom, not the other way around. I spent years thinking I needed my parents' house as a safety net, but the reality is I was just using that comfort as an excuse to stay in one place. Of course, I'm not suggesting this move to anyone as a universal rule. It was my own decision and it worked well for me. I don't know about you, everyone has their own situation, so living with your parents is completely fine and sometimes even a smarter choice. And by the way, as you probably noticed in the video, I don't work solely on my Mac anymore. After living alone for a month, I decided to move my PC into the apartment so I could finally dedicate my time to making videos. And now this apartment is full of the things I need for filming. I'm happy, sometimes lonely, but overall I think I achieved what I wanted in that sense. And I'll keep improving it, making the quality of my videos better and better. So now I guess it's time to finish the video. Thanks for watching and take care.